Hi friends, welcome to this class. Today I will show you how to create a parallax effect in Figma, and in the end of this short class you will be able to create this type of animation with your UI design. So first of all, I'm actually going to work with vector shape for this parallax effect. So what I actually did, I went to freepik.com, which has a bunch of free and paid images and also vector illustrations. And right here in the assets search bar I was typing, for example, winter illustration, and here I can filter it out by free, and also I'm only curious to search for vectors, and I believe that this is exactly this image that I'm going to work with today. Important to mention that the file type that you will mostly find on Freepik is only EPS, which is compatible with Adobe Illustrator. So if you have an Illustrator, you can open up this file and resave it as SVG file, because you might know that Figma does not open EPS files, it only is compatible with SVGs. But if you don't have Adobe Illustrator or you don't know how to exactly convert this file, no worries. I left the link under this video with this free file and also free Figma template that you can use for this project. So moving back to Figma, as you can see, I already opened up a new project and I imported this file right here. So for parallax effect, it's important that we have at least two different states. Let's select our first layer and we are going to duplicate it with Ctrl+D shortcut. So first of all, what I want to do is to select these kind of shapes, which is actually some sort of wind. You can see it right here as I move it, so we actually selected that, and I will just simply hide it because I think it brings too much details that it actually pollutes the screen. Then I will also select these trees, and I will move these branches a bit lower in my frame, and also I'll do exactly the same with the upper branch, and I'll move it right here to the corner. Then I will get this mountain and I will actually increase it a bit in a size. And then I move it right here to the bottom of this frame. And I think maybe it's a bit too much, so let's actually decrease it a bit. Alright, so here we have our first step for this parallax effect, and we're going to go to the prototype section, select our first frame, and I will actually connect it to our second frame. And we're going to work with on-click interactions. And let's select the Smart Animate, where we will also work with custom springs. So right here, I'm going to increase the delay of a bit more than 2 seconds. So this is just to show a smooth transition between both of the frames. So this is our first step of creating parallax effect. Let's quickly check if it works. Alright, so we have here presentation mode. Let me quickly click on this frame. So I think it looks quite cool because we just had a smooth transition with a bit of bouncy effect. And we can of course play around with Smart Animate and these custom settings to customize it to how we want it to look like. But this is our first step. So let's go back to our project. And the next step will be I'm going to go back to the design tab and actually select the background. And my background has a very nice linear fill, and I'm just going to select one of these colors and actually modify it to something else. Because I think then with this kind of like change in the color will have a very nice effect. So let's go back to the presentation mode. Let's quickly test this change that we just implemented into our frame. So with a click, we see the nice smooth transition and also the change in the background color, which I think is very, very nice. So the next step will be, I want to make it more complicated because I want to show a title of this page and also maybe some call to action button and some menu items. So right here, I already have something that I prepared before. You can also find it in a free Figma template that you can download for free. So you might notice it's just a simple text layer, simple menu items and a button that I created, and all of them are frames. And it's very important that you actually convert these objects to frames, and if you do not have frames yet, you can easily do it by clicking on the right mouse click and clicking on frame selection. Also, each frame needs to have a clip content check mark on. This is very important because we're going to hide these elements in our initial state. So either way, I'm going to select all of these layers and let's actually place them into our second frame. I will select them one by one and actually also align them to the center of this frame. And let's also change the position a bit so to make it more logical. So as I mentioned before, because we work with Smart Animate, it's important to have exactly the same layers in both of the frames. So I will select again of these 3 layers, Control-C them and actually go back to my first frame, select it, and paste them by Control-V. So they need to have exactly the same position in order for this animation to work. And we're going to start with our menu items. So make sure that you select a group in your frame, and with your arrow keys, let's move them to the left side. So because we work with the clip content, you can see that we have our frame, but our layers inside of these frames, they are outside, so they are not visible. So the same thing I'm going to repeat right here with my title. We move it up, and also the same with this call to action button that will move a bit more down. Alright, and now let's actually go again to our presentation mode to see how this change will look like. So we have again our frame, and let me quickly click on that. And you can see how nicely our letters are actually showing up from the hidden frame. And I want to make it a bit more perfect in a sense of interaction. So let's actually maybe even increase the delay by 4,000 milliseconds, which is actually 4 seconds. And let's maybe also make it a bit more bouncy. So I'll have to actually retype this delay one more time. And what I want to do, I also want to connect back the second frame to the first frame with exactly the same settings, because I want to interact back and forward with my parallax effect. And right here we are testing it, so you see it's a bit more different, it's really bouncy. So we can also click back on that, and then we actually go back initially to our first state. So this was actually the tutorial about parallax effect in Figma. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments if you have any questions and if you managed to repeat these steps in this video.